This droplet of water may seem ordinary, but it has only just completed a millennium-long journey. It was part of an invisible river 100 times more powerful than the Amazon. It flows not across the land, but deep beneath us, at the very bottom of the ocean. This is the Great Ocean Conveyor, a global system that distributes heat, oxygen, and life across the entire planet. And right now, it is beginning to break. Today, we dive into the abyss to understand how our planet's engine works and what happens if it stops. It all begins here in the icy waters off Greenland and Antarctica. A physical miracle occurs here. The water literally falls downward. When ocean water freezes, it displaces the salt. The leftover water becomes extremely saline and frigid, making it denser than its surroundings. This forms vast undersea waterfalls, hidden from view on the surface. Each second, billions of tons of water plunge to the bottom, pushing the entire global conveyor belt ahead. This current moves at a speed of only a few centimeters per second. This means that water that sank to the bottom during the Viking Age is only now rising to the surface in the Pacific Ocean. Yet, this sluggish movement is precisely what keeps Europe habitable and prevents the tropics from overheating. Without this deep-sea chill, our world would resemble a post-apocalyptic wasteland. So, how exactly does this mechanism keep us alive? Let's find out. Imagine yourself as that drop. You have just fallen to a depth of 4 kilometers. Here, the pressure is powerful enough to crush a submarine, and the temperature is only a few degrees above freezing. This current is like a giant conveyor belt in a dark tunnel. It carries oxygen from the surface with it. Without this breath, the ocean floor would be a dead desert, devoid of any living creature. You move south, round Antarctica, and enter the Indian Ocean. You are part of a system that pumps more energy than all the world's power plants combined. This is where the magic begins. The water gradually warms up, becomes less dense, and starts rising to the surface. This is called upwelling. Now, you are a warm current. You carry the solar energy of the tropics back to the north. This is the world-famous Gulf Stream. Look at London and Labrador in Canada. They are on the same latitude. But while London has blooming gardens, Labrador is an icy wilderness. Why? Because our conveyor belt delivers heat right to Europe's doorstep. This current carries as much heat as 1 million large nuclear reactors would produce. It has literally shaped the climate we've grown accustomed to over the last 10,000 years. But what happens if we throw a wrench into this perfect mechanism? What if fresh water from the Arctic ice dilutes our salty engine? We are approaching a tipping point, and the consequences won't be felt in 1,000 years, but within our own lifetime. Here's the problem. Greenland is melting. Every second, tons of fresh water pour into the ocean. And for our engine, it's like putting water into a car's gas tank. Fresh water is lighter than salt water. It stays on the surface, creating a plug. The salty water can no longer sink to the bottom, and the underwater waterfall stops. The conveyor grinds to a halt. Scientists call this the AMOC collapse. According to the latest data, this current is already at its weakest state in 1,600 years. We are quite literally watching the planet's heartbeat slow down. It sounds paradoxical. Global warming could trigger a sharp cooling in Europe and North America. Without the warmth of the Gulf Stream, temperatures in Paris or Berlin could drop by 5 to 10 degrees. This isn't just about putting on a warmer coat. It's about the total collapse of agriculture. Wheat, corn, soy, the crops that feed the world will simply stop growing in these regions. At the same time, the heat that failed to travel north will build up in the tropics. This will trigger superstorms and droughts unlike anything humanity has ever seen. The most terrifying question is, when some models suggest we have 50 years. Others warn that we could pass the tipping point before this decade is even over. It's not a linear change. It's like pushing a cup toward the edge of a table. It looks stable until it crosses the edge, and then there is no turning back. But can we change anything, or are we simply witnessing the greatest catastrophe in the history of civilization? Do we have a plan B? Scientists are considering radical ideas, from artificially cooling the Arctic to massive undersea barriers designed to stall melting glaciers. But the truth is, the best technology already exists. It's the stabilization of our atmosphere. Every fraction of a degree we prevent the planet from gaining is time won for the ocean. The ocean has tremendous inertia. It warms up slowly, but it cools down just as slowly. Even if we stop all factories today, the consequences of our past actions will chase us for decades. While we fear the shutdown of the conveyor belt, life continues on the ocean floor dependent on this cold. It is the largest ecosystem on Earth, about which we know less than we do about the surface of Mars. The cold water at the bottom isn't just ice, it's a reservoir of nutrients. When it rises, it feeds the plankton feeds the fish, and the fish feed billions of people. Your lunch today might be the result of a process that began 500 years ago in the Antarctic. We are quite literally eating the fruits of this giant underwater machine. We are used to thinking of the ocean as something infinite and indestructible, but now we know it is vulnerable. And its heartbeat, this cold conveyor belt on the ocean floor, is growing weaker. This isn't just a story about the physics of water. It's a story about how every drop is connected to every breath we take. Our future is quite literally drifting with the current. What do you think? Will humanity adapt in time, or have we already passed the point of no return? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one of them. Subscribe so you don't miss our next journey into the unknown. Thanks for watching.